In the last portion of Leccion 1 in the PowerPoint, we left off talking about time. So I'm going to pick up right there. We were discussing how you can use menos to say like it's 20 of, whether you're thinking it's 20 to 8, but it's really like saying it's 8 minus 20 because menos means minus. So you could technically say it's 7:40, right? Son las 7:40. But after we pass 30 minutes, so when you get to 31 minutes all the way to 59 minutes, we typically go to the next hour. So for example, if it's 7:40, we say it's 8. Son las 8. Well, it's not 8 yet. It's 8 minus 20 minutes. So son las 8 menos 20. And that's the common way we express time after 30-minute mark. Okay, so let's see. When telling time, follow this order. So just a recap. Use es when it's 1 o'clock or use son when it's any hour after. If you're using es, you're also going to use la. Es la una. Son is plural, so then you use las. Son las. Then you say the hour. Okay? Es la una, son las dos. If you want to add minutes, y 10, y 20, y 25. And if you're going to go past 30, it's better to go to the next hour. For example, it's 2:40. We'll say it's 3. Son las 3 minus 20 menos 20. Okay? So that's how we tell time. But next, we are going to learn about the phrase at a certain time. So a la una is saying at 1 o'clock. Emphasis on at, a la una. So we're not saying it is 1 o'clock. This is something different. This is saying at what time something's going to take place. If it's not 1, follow a similar format that we learned previously using las, a las 3:30. And now we're saying at 3:30. Okay. You can use por la and de la. Okay. So while both por la and de la mean in the, when used with time, they're used differently and not interchangeable. For example, when you have minutes, use de. Yo estudio a las 2. And when I said minutes, I mean hours, just basically numbers. Use de to say in the afternoon, but that's because you have numbers, a las 2, a las 3. But when you don't specifically say what time it is, when a specific time is not mentioned, then use por la. And in this case, you can still use mañana, tarde, and noche. But you're using, again, por la when you're not specifically saying any hour or minutes. So let's read these examples. Yo estudio a las 2 de la tarde. Yo estudio por la mañana. Let's do a quick knowledge check. I want you to pick which time. If you need as much time as you need, just press pause because we're going to look at the answer in the next slide. For number 1 and number 2. So, okay, pick your answer. For number 1, if you said son las 2:20 de la tarde, muy bien. For number 2, son las 4 menos 20, right? We're saying if it's 3:40, we're past 30 minutes. We're going to the next hour, which would be 4 o'clock. But it's not 4 o'clock, it's 4 minus 20. It's 20 of 4. So in Spanish, we say son las 4 menos 20 de la mañana. Okay, in the spirit of numbers, let's look at numbers 300 all the way to 1,000. So the nice thing here is like taking the number 3 and just putting it right in front of cientos. 300. Take the number 4. 400. Now, you can't just take 5. This one's irregular, so it's 500. Try that. 500. 600. It's like 6 in front of cientos. It's almost 7, but it's sete. See that E? It's not siete. 700. Then you have 800. And not 9, but 9. 900. And 1000. So be extra careful with 500, 700, y 900. 1000 will not be plural. So for example, if you have 2,000, it's going to stay 2,000. You could have 20,000. 20,000. The word mil will not turn plural. If you're dealing with larger numbers like years, in Spanish, you do not count in hundreds beyond 1,000. So you can't say, for example, 1,100, right? In English, you can say 1,100, but in Spanish, you have to say 1,100. Similar with years, you can't say this is 1999. You have to read it out like 1,999. So in Spanish, it says 1999. To look at a larger number here, most Spanish-speaking countries will put a period where we're used to a comma. This is your first part, 32. But it's 32,000, right? Imagine the comma here. 32,000. Then you deal with the next chunk. 400 is my 400. 18. Don't add E. Please listen carefully. You only use E when you're adding a 1 digit to a 10 digit. So for example, from 20s to 99, you use E. Like 21, 31, 42, 55. Anything with a 1 digit and a 10 digit, you use E. Otherwise, we do not use E to keep adding our numbers together. So this is like saying 418. There was not an E inserted there. Let's do a quick check. Pick what number. 500, 300, 800. For number 2, 200, 400, or 600. If you need more time, just pause here. I'm going to show you the answer now. Okay, for number 1, it is 300. And for number 2, 600. Muy bien. Okay, we're almost coming to a close, but it's really important to make sure that you're learning the vocabulary. Now, for a better study of vocabulary, please go to the ebook. It's in your lesson content folder. However, I would like to just take a moment to go over some of these with you because we are really highlighting body parts in this chapter. I have a separate presentation on body parts that you can watch and really listen and repeat each term. But for now, let's go over these. And please repeat after me. You can pause and replay as many times as you need. Necesita una radiografía de. So you can fill in the blanks with la cabeza, la espalda, el pecho, la rodilla, la mano, la muñeca, la pierna, and you can add on other terms. Common phrase is to ask for an analysis of. Necesita un análisis, or instead of análisis, you can say una muestra, but either way, you're going to use de before you introduce what you need a sample of. For example, necesita un análisis de orina. Or necesita un análisis, I'm sorry, I meant to say muestra. Sorry, let me redo. Necesita una muestra de material fecal. Esputo o sangre. For just a part 2, again, using the body parts that we're learning, we're going to talk about this phrase, ¿Dónde le duele? To ask where does it hurt. ¿Dónde le duele? And then you can keep asking, ¿le duele el cuello, el estómago, el vientre, el oído, la garganta, el hombro, or just a phrase like aquí and point. When someone responds, they can either use me duele or me duelen. You use me duele when you have a singular noun, like the list below. You use me duelen when you have a plural noun. So for example, me duelen los pies. I'm going to keep saying me duelen for emphasis. Me duelen las piernas. Me duelen los brazos. You're in real pain when your teeth hurt. Me duelen los dientes. Y me duelen los dedos. So again, using body parts, you can use me duele if it's singular or me duelen for plural. And you can ask someone in the general sense, ¿Dónde le duele? Okay, which one would you choose to as the Spanish equivalent? So look over the responses. Necesita una radiografía de la cabeza. Necesita una radiografía de la rodilla. Necesita una radiografía de la espalda. Okay, so pick which one. And then how would you express this in Spanish? Me duele el estómago, me duele el cuello, o me duele el oído. So go ahead and choose. If you need more time, pause. I'm going to show you the answers now. Okay, for number 1, it would be C, la espalda. Y número 2, el estómago. El estómago. And again, we say me duele because it's singular. All right. So that ends this Lección 1 grammar. Feel free to replay as many times as you need. And also, please don't forget to go to the ebook and review all of your vocabulary, listen to the terms, and see them in action. Gracias.